Mal sotopondruf el pandru kuperna, divine guidance, ifo sondrfu, alocui sefer lan, darawan, yufo pandru su.
Hi, I'm Patricia McNair, your host of Divine Guidance with Patricia. If you are bursting to embrace and strengthen your connection to your divine guidance, your whole being, this is the show for you. Join me the first and third Wednesday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Are you ready to discover the amazing gift of the universe that is you? On Divine Guidance with Patricia, Spirit and I will trigger you to embrace and validate the light that you are. On my show, I will bring you thought-provoking, inspiring messages designed to ignite a spark of spiritual awareness, the first step to becoming a whole being. Join me on Divine Guidance with Patricia and discover your gifts and awaken your true sense of self to embrace and empower your spiritual, mental, and emotional well-being. Divine Guidance with Patricia starts now. Hey everyone, welcome to Divine Guidance with Patricia again. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here. I'm over the moon ecstatic. I've been talking with my guests for quite a while about putting together a show. And this show is really dynamic. It's really amazing information that anybody can put into their own lives and make it happen and make it work. So today we're talking about time banking. And it's not bartering, and it's nothing in comparison to anything I've heard. It's so connected to everyone being a necessity and everyone being deserving and everybody being sovereign with their time and valuable. So with that, and I can't explain it as good as my guests can over there. So I must invite you to the show, Stacey Jacobsohn. Thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself first before we get into time banking?
Hi, Trish. It's so great that you had me on this show. I'm excited to be here. I've been in time banking for over 10 years now. I started out as an undergraduate. I just found it. I was coming out of a rough divorce, and I had bartered with my lawyer for her time. And it got me thinking about, exchanges like that, except, not having the skill that the other person needs, or, what that makes it awkward. I was lucky, so I was trying to find some way, like a circle of giving. It was what I was thinking about. And so I looked up barter exchange, and I found time banking, which just blows barter away. And I was so fascinated that I offered to be an intern at a startup time bank that was happening nearby. And I worked it into my studies as an independent study. I pretty much made my own degree in liberal studies. And so after my internship, I was immediately hired to run the time bank, which totally freaked me out because I had never led anything. I've been a working artist for 35 years before that. Pretty much worked alone, and so this was totally new to me, and so it was a rough transition. A lot of people were angry because I replaced my supervisor.
Oh, wow.
I didn't mean, I hadn't planned on that. But I had already booked a trip out to an international time banking conference going on in Madison, Wisconsin. And so I said, well, this will, it's just what I need, to really meet some other people in the time banking scene and try to get a handle on what I was doing as a leader. And that was completely transformational that weekend. I'll never forget it. Because I had learned how not to run a time bank in my years of interning. It was, we thought we had somewhere around 88 members. Turned out we had 6 actual members. So I was starting from scratch. And so after that summer, I decided I needed to learn more about being a leader, about organizations, running a nonprofit, all these things. And so I enrolled at the University of Southern Maine and picked up a certificate in nonprofit management. Decided that their idea of community development was not jiving with mine. It's a great program, but it just wasn't what I needed. It's very specific. Time banking is a very specific learning curve.
Okay. Before we get into what exactly time banking is, I know for the listeners, it sounds like it's very complex because of the journey that Stacey has been divinely guided to take. Not all of us are going to go into time banking and become leaders of an organization right away. So don't be intimidated. And just know that we're going to, in a minute or so, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we'll get into time banking just a bit more. But I just want to summarize. So no knowledge at all, hadn't even come up with the concept, didn't even know anything about time banking, become an intern and then become, wow, that is, it sounded intimidating when you were saying it. So I can almost feel what you must have been going through. So when we come back from break, I'm going to leave you with a question. This question here is, first of all, before we get into time banking and what it is exactly, how has that discovery of time banking changed your life and other people's lives that you're aware of? So we'll go for a quick break, Jacob, and then we will come right back and we will ask Stacey that question. How has time banking helped you in your life and other people that you're aware of? And we will see you right after the break. Thank you.
Did you know that when we talk about the Earth's ecosystems, the most important ecosystem has been left out? We created the ecosystem approach to recapture human potential.
Find us at theecosystemapproach.org.
Join us every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time for the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Listen up. The wealth you receive is a result of your personal relationship with the soul of money, meaning your spiritual well-being affects your ability to create abundance. Jennifer Bloom works with people to mend the spiritual disconnects that block up the cash flow. How's your relationship with yourself? Are you in balance with the divine? I know, these are big questions, but there are answers. Take Jennifer's free money relationship quiz to learn where you need to focus your energy and watch yourself grow into the abundance you deserve. Trust the divine. Learn to receive. You are worthy of all the wealth you seek. Visit jenniferbloom.com and click on the purple banner to take the free money relationship quiz. That's Jennifer Bloom, BLOOME.com.
Stuck in a roundabout of dysfunction? Learn how to speak your truth to power with host Dr. Kathy Obear. Create real change with smart tools and smart strategies. No frills, no fluff, just life-changing conversations to help get you where you want to be. Extend your reach and become an agent for real change with Kathy Obear. For more information on Kathy and her work, please visit drkathyobear.com. That's drkathyobear.com.
Welcome back to Divine Guidance with Patricia. Today we're talking about time banking, and I'm just when you don't know something about something, but you just know that something is so going to change your whole world and your whole life. And I just feel, Stacey, since you first mentioned it to me, I feel it in my heart and soul. And I also feel that this is the time. This is, with no pun intended, this is a time that the people on this planet, with everything they're going through, can absolutely benefit by this time banking and by joining in communication and joining in communities of compassion and worthiness, and bringing that self-empowerment back, that we are all worth our weight in gold every hour, every minute, the same, no matter what we do, whether we're a janitor, whether we're a carpenter, whether we're a doctor. The value of our time and who we are has always been so critical to me in any work that I've been doing with others. So this just brings a message home in such a beautiful way that I could never imagine. So I'm going to let you bring the message home. I'm passionate about this, Stacey. I'm just passionate about it.
Oh, gosh. So when you say, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're a carpenter, is that all of you? Are we more than just our jobs at work? I mean, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I came back to school. I was wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't decide, what career I really wanted. I kept changing my mind. Changed majors,
Without being too forward, how old were you at that time? Like, we're not talking 1920, are we?
No.
And I'm not talking the year, I mean the age.
No, I took a 23-year hiatus from school.
Okay. Right. So we're talking
I got an associate's in art back in 1978.
Okay.
And then I came back in 2005 to continue on to get my bachelor's.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure in what.
Right.
The thing about time banking is that I could do everything. Everything. I could learn new things. I could pick up guitar if I wanted to. I could, and not have to pay for lessons. How
do you do that?
My dad, he was a psychiatrist. And he wanted to mentor people who were going into the mental health field. So I hooked him up with some college students that were going into mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped them enormously. But what he wanted in return was piano lessons.
Wow. Neat.
But he didn't want someone to stand over him and say, you have to do your homework and blah, 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 blah. He wanted somebody to work at his level, at his own pace. And that's what he got. He got, a musician who was going into teaching. And he was able to learn some about teaching piano. And my dad was a willing student. And if he didn't get his homework, there was no tisk, to worry about the money that you're paying, and are you, doing your homework and stuff like that. I was very relaxed, and, he wanted to know things like, why do they say things like, give me a C, a bouncy C? What is that?
Different way of learning, a different way of wanting to learn.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
his way of learning. Yeah. And I also, I was exposed to such a wide variety of people, especially people with disabilities who were really attracted to time banking. And that's because their work is not valued in the marketplace. There's a lot of people's work that's not valued in the marketplace.
Or society, for that matter,
The
right?
woman that stays home and takes care of the autistic child, what is her value? She doesn't contribute to the GDP. You know, there's so many things that are not about money that we do anyway. We do it out of the goodness of our hearts. It makes us feel good to help other people. Now, those people that we help, they also want to feel good and help people. Everybody wants to have meaning to life. So I really focused on those core values of time banking. I'd like to, just go over those a little bit. But the one that really got me was about reciprocity. And this is why we're not barter, and this is why we're not charity, because both of them are a lower form of reciprocity. There are levels of reciprocity, and a lot of it has to do with respect, which is another core value. You got respecting the person that you're helping. And a lot of people unknowingly make the other person feel ashamed of receiving. This is the problem with charity.
Yeah, I want to step in there because nobody can make anybody else, but they set the environment and the situation and the energy up in that way that the other person can easily perceive it that way. How's that? Well,
money talks.
Yeah.
Money talks, and what it says is very important. So we say things like, we should help people who are less fortunate than us. We should assist them,
Yeah,
and when they say, when we help someone and then they say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful, how can I ever pay you back? And then you say, don't worry about it. It's okay. What's behind that to them, that perception, is that they don't have anything that you need.
They're not of value.
They're not of value.
Wow. Yeah. What a way.
And now we're in a pandemic. Now people who were never starving before are suddenly in a position of going to food banks and begging for assistance.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are being woken up to this feeling of shame that permeates our society. You're a burden on other people when you can't pay your bills or show up on time, or, in the meantime, you have this huge bank of assets that are sitting in nursing homes. No one talking to them.
Exactly right. Wow.
Huge amount of wisdom, knowledge, experience that they could pass on. No one's asking.
No. And they're definitely made to feel like they have no value anymore. And that, I find, in society is such a great loss. It's a huge loss. It's a loss to the children. It's a loss to the grandchildren. It's a loss to society. That information is just depleted, usually with medication and silencing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, don't get me started there. Sorry.
Right. There's people that love to give, right? And then you have people come into the time bank who are used to having to beg, the bigger the problem, the more help they get. So there's that. they're putting pity out there.
Right.
So I'm working both sides of this continuum, and this is the complexity of leading a time bank. It's not so much being a member. Membership is very simple. You sign up, you have an orientation, your hour counts the same as everybody else's hour. You give an hour to help someone, you get a time credit. And you can use your time credit to ask anybody to help you. It's very simple.
There's the point. There's the core. And I mean, we're talking about it because you have lots of knowledge of it, and I've got some enough to get me so excited about it. But I think the main concept that we haven't mentioned so far into the show is where did it come from? What is it exactly? What is, if you were to pinpoint what time banking is, it is your hour is just as valuable as everybody else's hour. There's no more value on an hour, whether you're a king, a queen, or a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. 1 hour of my time is equivalent to 1 hour of anybody else's time. There's no different labels. There's no different higher, lower. It's an hour equals an hour. Right?
Right.
Oh, good.
But what that does to a relationship is incredible.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
I mean, you don't realize how much thinking goes into an exchange between two people until, and it really, really changes you when you start receiving in a time bank. I asked my first, one that I really asked for was someone to help me organize my apartment.
Well,
because it's I'm an artist. I'm a total mess. I got projects everywhere. It's like I can't decide what's important or where it goes.
Right.
So I asked a friend of mine at school, and I did not know. Actually, she answered my ad, and I wasn't expecting it. I just put up an ad request, and she answered it. And I said, "Well, I didn't even know that you did that." So she came over, and it was striking to me that I didn't have to think about what I owed her, or the mess that my house was. It was just, hey, you're here to help me. Here's my issue. And then I could relax and let her shine because she really enjoys doing this for people.
Wow.
So not only did she organize my apartment, I mean, it's like she organized my soul. She was talking about precious things, treasure, and that's what you should organize first. The things that are priceless to you. And so that's what we did. And I just had this feeling like, if I was paying her to do this, or, it wouldn't have worked. If it was charity, I would be like, how can I help you? What can I do? How can I barter? What do you need? What do you need? Instead of relaxing and enjoying the light in her eyes as she helped me.
Wow.
And so there's little things about time banking like that just totally shift relationships. And that's, that just, blew me away.
It seems like when you take, because there's no actually money transferred at all in time bank at all. So when you take the money out of it, and you take the I'm this and you're that out of it, and you have two humans exchanging time for different purposes that they enjoy to do for someone else, it kind of brings the humanity and the openness and the caring into the situation. That's what you're describing to me. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes people don't even know that they need help. A lot of people come to the time bank and this, I just like to give, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, you can try that out for a while.
That would be me. Sorry, I'm guilty. It's like I love to do stuff.
It's hard for everybody. That is harder to ask, you know, for everyone. Well, but when you ask, you're allowing someone else to feel that goodness of how you feel when you give.
Exactly right.
So it's a gift to ask and let them shine.
We're going to lead up and take a very short break again. What I in asking, there is receiving. If you've, well, you know me, you've probably heard the slogan from me so many times, is it always has to be full circle. It always has to be full circle. It has to be full circle. If it's not full circle, it's led by ego, one side or the other. So I like the concept that this is full circle sharing. And it doesn't have to be on the same day, the same time, the same hour. We'll get into that more after the break. So we'll see you back here with Divine Guidance with Patricia. Thank you.
Tune in to The Crooked Climb with Suzanne Taylor King and Denise Stiegel, committed to guiding your journey through the world through mindfulness and personal care. These ladies are rebellious, real, funny, and powerful, helping you realize your full potential while navigating the twists and turns life always brings us. Tune in live every second and fourth Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Can't get enough of Eye of Soul Radio? Join Psychic Medium Jamie every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. Take a deeper look at the raw side of spirit. Nothing is off limits. Connect with lost loved ones and explore these vulnerable subjects with the compassionate guidance of Psychic Medium Jamie. You are not alone. Eye of Soul, Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, only on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
I have had such a good time on Tales from the Merworld Radio. It has been an opportunity for me to expand myself so dramatically and become much braver in my voice to speak about the things that I'm passionate about that are a little bit out there. Your staff is amazing. Olivia is amazing. Jessica, everybody. Anytime I need anything, they show up right away. So thank you for having such an amazing team that is allowing me this platform to do what Spirit wants me to do.
Get empowered. Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Divine Guidance with Patricia and Stacey Jacobsohn of Time Banking. And Stacey, let's give some information of how people can contact you. If you'd like to tell them the website, if you'd like to tell them what time banking you're connected with so that they could reach out to you, please.
So my time bank is a statewide time bank in the state of Maine. It's called Time Initiative of Maine, or TIME for short. And the web address is simple. It's Maine with an E, mainetime.org.
O-R-G.
O-R-G.
Okay. And I think our awesome producer, Jacob, will be flashing some of that up on the screen for us as well. So that's cool.
And if you'd like to look for a time bank near you, you can check out timebanks.org. there are directories for time banks all over the world.
So, Stacey, let's get to the founder, Edgar. And let's just have a few minutes of just who's Edgar, and have you met him, and do you know him, and what brilliant, beautiful soul brought time banking forward for all of us?
Edgar Kahn is a renowned social justice lawyer. He originally was writing speeches for Bobby Kennedy. He worked in the Kennedy administration. He worked on the war on poverty legislation throughout those years with President Johnson as well. He founded legal services for the elderly. He morphed Peace Corps into AmeriCorps Vista. He did some amazing work, and they had really come a long way towards addressing some issues. But in 1980, and I don't want to diss him, but Ronald Reagan became president, and everything changed. Suddenly, there were huge cuts to social programs, and Edgar had a massive heart attack and ended up in the hospital. And then he was on the receiving end. Now, he had been quite a giver for a long, long time. Now suddenly he was feeling helpless and unable to work more than maybe 2 hours a day. This was even after rehab and everything. So he really had to cut back on his activities and really think about what had just happened. Not only his health, but his experience in the hospital, about feeling useless, unwanted, unvalued. And he looked at all the millions that feel the same way, and he realized that the war on poverty idea just didn't work. It didn't work because you weren't paying attention or listening to the people that you're trying to help and asking them what the solution is. We're basically we were telling people what they needed. Yeah. And if they needed something different, it's like, oh, well, this is what this program offers. Sorry. We wish we could help you. And that message just, that will bring on a perpetual war on poverty. I mean, it will never end, because they're not part of the solution. The problem will never be solved. You have to listen to the people you're trying to help. Exactly. So time banking, he found some grants. He was good at that. Some projects, and just feeling out, what if we, empowered them more, let them give, came up with this system of credits. Like one of the projects was he helped a neighborhood that was full of crack houses and violence. Now, some of the kids that had been involved in vandalism and destruction and stuff, put them into a restorative justice situation and said, now fix this fence that you broke, paint it, plant some flowers, make it look nice. And he did all these things, and he helped clean up the neighborhood through litigation. He got money for programs and things like that. And then he gave him a bill. These are all the hours that I put in helping you. And he said, now, we'd like you to put in the same amount of hours of your choosing. Wow. So say you have a kid that's been arrested for drugs or something like that. rather than go to prison, they diverted him, into a program where he had to give restitution.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say you got to clean up the garbage on the freeway. They asked him, what are you good at? What are your skills?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I'm a pretty good website designer. Like, great. Put him right on a project.
Wow.
So instead of punishing him, they empowered him to come out of this, and they said, if you need streetlights for this neighborhood, then organize yourselves and, petition the council for streetlights.
Mm-hmm.
Do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just went gangbusters over this program. And then, when it came time for the cuts again at the federal level, thousands of people showed up that hadn't before.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't say anything when the programs were cut. But this time, thousands of them showed up in the congressional chamber and they said, we represent how many votes. And if you take away this program, you're not going to be here come next election.
Right.
And they saved the program.
Mm-hmm.
And he studied that. What was it about these programs that was changing people's lives so much? And he boiled it down to these 5 core values. And the first one is we're all assets. Everyone has something to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It's very basic. So much ignored, but very basic humanity. We're all assets, okay? And then he redefined work. If someone else needs it and you have it, that's a job.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what the work is. It's all of value.
It's all
because in the marketplace, it's based on scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Money's based on scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
If something is scarce, it's worth more.
Right. If there's a niche or
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work for everything because there are some things that are abundant.
Right.
Water is abundant. It never made any money until we made clean water scarce.
Mm-hmm.
Then it turned to profit.
Right.
So this is the insidiousness of capitalism, but it needs to be balanced with something that values things that are abundant.
Right.
And so this addresses that. It's the other half of what a currency needs to do. You can't just value things that are scarce.
Yeah, it deems to me, and I've been in the corporate world as well, it deems to me that the everyday life, the everyday family responsibility, the everyday things that it takes to have a good relationship with other people, your children, your spouse, or your neighbor, those have all been deemed as unnecessary, unvaluable, and cast aside. And the glamour of all the other things that are consumerized have been pushed in everyday faces to, this is the be all end all, forget about the rest of it. Meantime, families, are being separated. People are being one paycheck away from, being homeless. There's more homelessness. There's, it's more visible. I know about 30 years ago, if homelessness was so visible, the community would do something about it. Now there's homelessness so visible and people walk by, or, of a family that's in need and you can kind of give a little bit, but how much were we able to do when we did it as a community? If we knew a family have very little food, at 4:00 in the morning, all the farmers would get together and the wives would have the jams already in the baskets and the farmers would put the fruit in there and then somebody would sneak it over. A kid would get $2 to sneak the basket over and quietly put it on the step and walk away. It was a community effort. It wasn't anything to embarrass the family, but the family knew that it came from everybody. And I'm just, the feeling that I'm having, and I may be way off my rocker, which I usually am some days, about the time banking brings this all back, because it feels to me like time banking is a community, whether it's your next door neighbor or not. It is a community of people who value each other's time and abilities without putting a stigmata as to a label as to who's a professional or who's not, or who's higher up or who's not. And that just brings that all full circle sharing into a real round bundle of, it's never ending, Stacey. I can just feel it when I talk about it, I'm taking over, and I don't know much about time banking, but I will know more about it. So, with my spiel, yeah, that's how I feel about time banking.
Edgar calls it the core economy.
Okay.
So without the core economy, the regular economy wouldn't function. Just imagine, if you had lawyers showing up for work who were not toilet trained.
No comment.
Okay. There's a lot of work, that depends on the core economy functioning. Mm-hmm. People have to get to work, somehow. Yeah. Maybe their car breaks down, their neighbor, drives them into work. Mm-hmm. These kinds of things happen, but it's getting harder and harder to find those people. Mm-hmm. We don't know our neighbors. We don't spend a lot of time outside like we used to. There's so many things that have changed, that we need new ways of functioning. And one thing that this pandemic has taught us is that there are a lot of different ways to try and connect when you can't actually touch someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have found ways to connect. And that's what time banking does, is it brings together people who normally would never meet. It's kind of like a tossed salad.
I like that.
So, only in time banking would you find things like a 12-year-old teaching an 80-year-old how to knit.
Wow, beautiful.
It's just incredible things. I helped someone get out of an assisted living facility that was awful. But when we picked her up, we needed something that was big enough to put her stuff in. Mm-hmm. So I had someone in the time bank who had a vehicle. The only one that was running was a limousine.
Wow.
These people who had been awful to her were looking out the window, see this limousine coming, picking her up, taking her away.
Justice.
That's time banking. It's the beauty of it. It's so organic. You just never know what people are going to come up with to solve a problem.
I bet you she was happy.
Yes, it's something that you never would have planned. And that's the thing, is that we do too much planning on behalf of people and we don't even know.
That's right.
And I don't care what politics you have. It's on both sides. Mm-hmm. The way we look at problems is, you're a drag on the economy. We got to do something about you. What are we going to do with you? Yeah. Kind of thing. And it's like, let them go. Give them some tools and let them go. Let them show.
Let them shine.
Yeah.
Let them shine.
We cannot take for granted this core economy any longer because it's falling apart. Mm-hmm. Communities are falling apart. And when that goes, everything goes.
You bet. It's a backbone of society.
Absolutely.
So, Stacey, I think Jacob has a picture here. You kind of sent them to me. I think it's the one with going around in a circle. Which one was that called?
The circle of giving, or I forget what it's.
Yeah,
Basically,
it's not the one. How does time bank fit in? It's the other one of
with the people.
Yeah.
Jacob,
are you getting what I'm handing out here? Okay,
yeah,
he's
got it.
All right. So it's a circle of the steps of. So I just want to see, and Stacey, this is a beginning of talking about time banking. If I can have you to come back on the show and we can do a couple more segments and really get this information out. But this is a global world changer. And I'm so honored that you're coming and doing this with me. But if you could just take us through the steps, and Jacob has a visual there for people of how to, initially get started in time banking.
Okay, so you start out learning the software, which is pretty easy to use. And the one that we use is called Community Weaver. And so you place an ad, whether it's a request or an offer.
Well, we're going to join first, right?
Well, let's say you've joined, you've had an orientation.
Okay.
Now,
yep.
You're in the software, and it's private software. It's encrypted, password protected, and everything. So this is a private marketplace. And you choose how much you want to show. You can show your address, not show your address, however you want to do it. There's several ways of messaging other people. You can email, or you can send a message through the system. People can post their phone numbers so you can call them. And people are usually very open about, like, I don't answer texts. I do not do the text thing. So you just say that. So you look at around people's offers. There's lots of ways to search for what you need. You can search by skill that you need, or you can search by your neighborhood, your area that you're in. There are some things that you can do at a distance, which we found a lot this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, like you say you babysit, Jane's kids for a couple of hours, and then you get 2 time credits, and Jane gets debited 2 time credits. So Jane has to go help someone else tutor math or something like that. And then, she gets her credits back, and then they have that they have to make up. So it's like the movie Pay It Forward. It spreads out.
Mm-hmm.
Each exchange fosters another exchange. And it's like, oh, I didn't know you were a photographer. Wow. You might meet someone for one thing and then learn that they have another skill. And it goes round and round like that. And the beauty of it is the offers and the requests are separated. That is a major departure from barter. Barter says, I'll help you if you do this for me, but only if. Time banking says, I'll help you, period. Stop. It's none of your business. It's none of your business what they do.
Love it.
You'll get what you need from someone else,
mm-hmm.
or maybe them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works both ways.
Yeah.
And we encourage people to record it both ways, if they each are getting something from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's lots of ways to record. You could be teaching a group. This is where it gets interesting.
So are we still on the picture that Jacob has?
Well, sometimes you're helping an organization.
Okay.
Instead of just a person, you're helping an organization. And then that organization offers, like, say, free tickets to a show, that they're putting on. or or a business might offer a discount, or a school might throw a party for their kids that, volunteered, were 50 hours and they get a pizza party or something, so it just keeps growing like that, and more relationships get tight, and you get deeper and deeper into not only what they can do, but what you're able to do, and you can expand what you thought you were as a person.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Into all sorts of new things. That's what really blew me away, was that I could really explore all the parts of myself. And it brought music back into my life. I had not sung professionally, ever since I got married. And time banking brought me back into music in a very relaxed way. I didn't have to make major commitments, but it gave me an opportunity to sing with others and have a band, and we're still going.
I've heard you, and you are a phenomenal singer. Beautiful.
Yeah, I just stopped because it didn't make me any money. I couldn't commit to it. It's a lot to commit to being a singer.
Well, we're coming down to the last 5 minutes of the show. I know I always get caught out because it feels like we just started and an hour goes by too fast. So if there was anything that you wanted to sum up about time banking to somebody who has never heard of the concept before, and anything you would like to say to time bankers that are actually struggling right now because of the COVID situation, I'm going to ask you if you would like to just make a quick comment on both of those things before we end the show.
Well, if anything, this pandemic has reminded us that we all have only 24 hours a day. How we spend those hours is our choice. And, you have a choice that you can make it count.
Absolutely. And time banking seems to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so, Miss Stacey Jacobs, thank you so much. I'm going to just probably in the next couple of days find a date that's suitable for you and I to do this again, because I think we need to take it on a deeper level. And listeners, if you've been listening to this and anybody watches a replay, we're going to challenge you to take a look at time banking, even on the website, get some information, see if it fits for you, put your finger in the water, and we'll do some call-ins the next time I have Stacey, and you can ask questions of anything you get stuck on, or you can actually ask her questions in order to get initiated, because this lady here, I'm actually going to start a time banking up through Stacey just to get the experience and the know-how before I started here in Nova Scotia, Canada. And I know there's a lot of giving people in Nova Scotia, Canada, just like everywhere else in the world. But are they going to be able to have the initiation of receiving? In order to make a good time banking work, we have to have both. Right, Stacey?
That's right.
Right.
If everybody's giving and no one receives, then nothing happens.
So the most amazing information that I've had, and I've had some beautiful information on the show. This here, I believe, is a world changer. This is the ability to take the freedom. This is the ability to take your own self-empowerment. And doesn't mean everybody has to quit their day jobs or anything like that, but this is something that you can work with in your own time, in your own way, and experience a whole new way of valuing an hour of your time and valuing an hour of someone else's time. So I'm going to Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, Stacey, so much for being here. We'll have you back. Thank you, listeners. Drop me an email at connect@divineguidance.earth. And Stacey, I'm going to hand it over to you for last words on the show. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish. It was really great diving in here. And there's so much to learn, but again, it's so simple. That it's easy to understand. It's just that the context that we're in is complex. The society that we're in is very complex, and we need to get back to basics. And, everybody has,
This is a very good way to get back to basics. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you and the information. I look forward to learning more about it myself. It's something that I believe it will be valuable in my life. So time banking, take a look at it. Once again, the website is
maintime.org.
Maintime.org. There you go. Thank you for being with us again. We'll see you next time on Divine Guidance with Patricia.
Thank you for listening to Divine Guidance with Patricia on TransformationTalkRadio.com with me, Patricia McNair. Tune in next time to explore more challenges that can help you achieve your whole being. I know we are all capable of truly being whole, and with a little empowerment, anyone can access an entire universe of knowing that is just waiting to be explored. For more information about me and my services, visit divineguidance.earth. That's divineguidance.earth. See you next time, where together we focus on solutions for the whole being.
Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.